The ETH pump is not stopping, even though Bitcoin is slowing down. Does this mean that ETH is finally starting to lead us into an altcoin season, as coins like XRP are about to break new all-time highs? This is your Altcoin Buzz News. Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Cody, and if you're new here, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know when we drop latest content. Follow us on Twitter, AltcoinBuzzIO, and as always, not financial advice, and wish the best of luck in your crypto ventures. Alright, good morning guys. So for once, Bitcoin is not the star of the day. Usually it's been a Bitcoin only run so far, but you can see here on the side here with Bitcoin down slightly with all these altcoins up on the day, especially ETH leading, which we're going to get to in a second. And this is just, a huge run on ETH. And so for once, Bitcoin is not leading. It's starting to go sideways. Bitcoin dominance is dropping and altcoins are starting to catch up, which is pretty much what we wanted because this is a, altcoin focused channel. And a lot of us, I'm sure, have a lot more altcoins than we do Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin still looks fine. It is pretty much following this to a T, I would say. If we look at this here, I mean, that is following this fractal that I played out from February 2024 pretty closely. I wouldn't be surprised if we then continue to consolidate a little bit here, kind of like this triangle pattern we have, and then continue up higher in the next coming week or so as we go towards the mid 120s and then eventually towards 130, which I believe is going to happen. I think we just need a little bit of time to consolidate here on Bitcoin as we chop around and altcoins start to take off. Now, starting off today, we have Ethereum's market value has now grown over 50% since June 22nd, hitting its highest price level since late January. The network has over 152 million non-empty ETH wallets, more than any other coin in cryptocurrency. Additionally, the crowd has taken note of the major price rebound, pouring in the highest level of discussion since a similar price rise back in May 2024. We also have the ETH ETFs saw the highest single day inflow since it began. The rotation is real. So you can see here, the ETH ETF inflow is surging in like crazy right now after Bitcoin. So we're going from Bitcoin ETFs now rotating in towards ETH ETFs. We also have Ash Crypto saying Bitcoin is dumping while ETH is pumping. Get ready for an altcoin season. And we have Crypto Rover saying ETH is outperforming Bitcoin. Phase 2 is just getting started. Buckle up. So you can see here, this is the classic cryptocurrency rotation chart where we start with Bitcoin, money flowing into Bitcoin, then to Ethereum, then to large caps and alt season. We haven't really had that so far this cycle. This cycle has been a little bit different where, we've had Bitcoin pump and then sometimes altcoins will go up, but a lot of times Ethereum will go sideways and then a lot of smaller alts in phase 4 will also pump. So we've had meme coins pump, AI coins pump. So it's been a little bit different this cycle. Maybe this is the time where the cycle, finally comes back to this pattern here. But so far the cycle has been a little bit different. But we are starting to see this, for sure right now where Bitcoin is going sideways or even slightly down while Ethereum is pumping like crazy and all their altcoins are pumping like crazy. So we are kind of following this more closely right now. Then we also have sentiment saying with Ethereum leading the way, there's been a huge jump in social media mentions of many altcoins and higher price targets, with Monday's Bitcoin all-time high leading to mass retail FOMO, leading to the top. The mass FOMO has shifted to Ethereum today with a plus 4K plus price target called across X, Reddit, and Telegram. And we also have Look on Chain saying whales and institutions keep buying ETH. This whale bought 27,800 ETH for $85 million from FalconX 3 hours ago, and a total of 68,000 ETH for $213.8 million in the past 4 days. Another whale bought 25 million from Kraken with a total of 252 million in the past 6 days. And this other whale bought $3 million recently from Kraken with a total of $73 million in the past 12 days. So whales are loading up on Ethereum. We also have Tommy Lee talking about why he thinks Ethereum is now the new Bitcoin.
Still a big fan of Bitcoin because I think it is, digital gold. But what we've seen in the last, really in 2025 is the financial services industry and crypto are converging. And it really started with stablecoins, which is the ChatGPT of crypto, right? Because it's viral adoption by consumers, businesses, banks, and now even Visa. Underneath the stablecoin industry is Ethereum. That is really like the backbone and architecture of stablecoins. So it's important to create a project that essentially accumulates Ethereum to essentially protect and have some influence on the network. So that's why we're creating this treasury vehicle to buy Ethereum. The more Ethereum that's accumulated, the more secure the network is. And I think it's also sort of the architecture that future banks will have. When Goldman issues a stablecoin and JP Morgan doing it on Ethereum, as a layer 1 blockchain, they're going to want to secure it by staking Ethereum. So we're trying to get in front of that by creating a treasury.
And then Nick Crypto says Ethereum is flying and the Genius Act could be a big reason. Here's why ETH is ripping and why I think it's just getting started. The bill targets yield-bearing stablecoins, cutting off competition from centralized yield coins. This makes ETH-based DeFi more attractive for returns. This is super bullish for usage and demand. Speculators seem to be front-running this, and let's be honest, they've probably been positioning for a while, betting stricter US rules equals more capital flowing into Ethereum native protocols. Meanwhile, Sharplink just added 225 million in ETH to its treasury, surpassing the Ethereum Foundation itself. And Peter Thiel just took a 9% stake in Tommy Lee's BitMine immersion. Big week ahead for ETH. What's your target? So we have Peter Thiel, huge VC from TradFi, pretty much now taking a 9% stake in Tommy Lee's BitMining. So they're definitely investing a lot of money into Ethereum. We also have Sharplink Gaming, who says Sharplink becomes the largest ETH holder among corporate entities. Between July 7th and 13th, Sharplink acquired just under 75,000 ETH for 213 million, an average price of 2,800, which is a good price. Usually, anytime we hear about this from MicroStrategy, it's usually the top. But here, Sharplink has a pretty good average recently. The total holdings now stand at 280,000 ETH. Now, Ethereum is looking very good. So I had to draw a new chart here as we've come up here. One thing I want to note is that anytime we've broken above the $3,000 zone, if we go to a higher time from here, anytime we've broken above this really $2,900 zone, actually, we've gone to $4,000. So you can see here, when we broke above here back in February of 2024, we went from $3,000 to $4,000. Same thing happened again here in November 2024. We went from just under $3,000 to $4,000. And I don't expect this time to be very different. I think this is a very bullish time period for ETH. Now, will it go straight up in a line? I don't think so. It is possible we do just this again, which, even though it looks like it's straight up in line, it took, 21 days. So it is, very bullish, but I don't think it's going to continue up in this straight line that is going on right now. I think more so it'll probably look something like this, where I think we're going to come back and retrace towards around, $3,300, which is only like $100 lower than we are right now. I think we'll come back and we'll probably retest somewhere around this level before continuing higher, but I do think we go towards $4,000. What happens at that point, we'll have to see if, ETH continues to hold up. So far this cycle, we haven't broken above really $4,100, even though our all-time high is just under $5,000. So I'd like to see us break above here and head to new all-time highs for ETH, because Bitcoin has been breaking all-time highs for 2 years now, and ETH still has yet to do that. So I think this is finally ETH's turn. I'm starting to see a lot more attention and demand, and so I'm happy for ETH and ETH holders. Hopefully this time is different, and ETH pumping doesn't mean the whole market is about to nuke. And hopefully this time is different, because so far this cycle, anytime ETH pumps, the market is about to dump. Then we have Ondo Finance saying BNB Chain is on. BNB Chain, one of the most widely used blockchain networks, will soon support Ondo's suite of tokenized assets, including over 100 US stocks, ETFs, and funds to start. As part of this collaboration, BNB Chain joins the Global Markets Alliance, a growing group of leading wallets, exchanges, custodians, protocols, infrastructure providers bringing capital markets on-chain and setting the highest standards for tokenized securities. Global markets are coming on-chain. And Ondo Finance says over $90 trillion in value exists in US treasuries and US stocks, with only a fraction accessible on-chain. Ondo Finance was the first to bring US treasuries on-chain at scale. Now we're doing the same for hundreds, soon thousands of stocks. And Ondo Finance also excited to share that BitGet Wallet, with over 80 million users globally, will support Ondo's tokenized stocks, ETFs, and more at this launch this summer. This will make tokenized stocks available to one of the world's largest wallet user bases, enabling BitGet Wallet users to self-custody and transfer tokenized stocks, funds, and more. A new way to access the markets is coming. So this is very exciting. And then we have Josh saying this week has been huge for Ondo. OKX Wallet to offer its users global markets assets, the acquisition of SEC-registered Oasis Pro, launching Ondo Catalyst, our $250 million fund. The excitement doesn't stop there, though. Keep your eyes peeled for another week of announcements. So a lot of big things have been happening for Ondo. And Ondo is actually looking good right here. So we thought it would come back, reclaim this level, and then pretty quickly go to this level. And it's done just that. Now we are reclaiming this level. So this is probably a pretty good level. I do think we probably very quickly go back to this next level around 117, 120. So this is probably a pretty good trade if you are if you want to buy Ondo. Anywhere close to around 93 cents is probably pretty good, with a stop below. With a stop below this here around 82 cents, targeting this next level here. I do think we probably go towards this pretty quickly for Ondo, and once we're above here, I think we fly much quicker up towards these highs again. And I think Ondo is looking very bullish here. So anything you can get close to around 93 cents is good for Ondo. And then moving on, we have Altcoin Crypto Gems saying just scooped up a 25K bag of Wall, bullish on Walrus Protocol for a few key reasons. Built on SUI equals speed, scale, and serious user experience. Real revenue share model, not just hype. Community first and shipping fast. Early but already gaining traction. Walrus is being built on the broader SUI ecosystem and Sui Stack. And then we have Grayscale saying Walrus Protocol is a novel decentralized storage solution designed for performance and cost efficiency. As more applications on Sui require storage, Walrus Protocol is poised to potentially become a core piece of the network's growth as its data layer. So very big, and they have a whole report here from Grayscale talking about Walrus Protocol, which is super bullish. Then we have one of the biggest concerns as crypto users are scams and phishing emails and sites. Our friends at Walrus now have an amazing solution. Go try it today. So we have Walrus Protocol launching a crypto guard soon. They said this is the ultimate powerhouse that will soon protect 5.64 billion internet users from ruthless scams, phishing traps, and shady sites on Chrome, Firefox, and more. You're locked and loaded. So very bullish things coming from Walrus and Sui. And then lastly, we have Walrus Protocol isn't just for Web3. It's our best shot at solving trust problem for the entire internet.
You have to have a system that protects you against anything that you are running in your computer, including the web pages. And this is where Walrus is coming with all of this new technology, cryptography behind it, that people can learn if the content that they're loading on their website is correct, validated. They have some thumbs up from other different people who are running the same content. They have to feel this security and comfort that, okay, it's not a cheeky website where it will try to drive me into signing something else. And Walrus is going to solve the binary transparency problem. In my opinion, it's probably the best effort as humanity that we had, because we have the wallets, we can verify with digital signatures and all of this stuff, that now, if we work closely with the wallets and the browsers, we can solve this problem once and for all, because we do have the tech. In my opinion, binary transparency is a huge problem, not only for Web3, it's also for Web2.
So Walrus Protocol actually looks really good to me. I actually took a trade on here. You can see her over on Encelico Terminal. I have this set up just like this chart here where I took this trade. I think this looks amazing on the daily chart. Usually what happens, and this is a relatively new coin, so what happens is usually we have a pump. They start to sell off as people take profits back to the level which it started, and we kind of form a level of support here. And then over the past month or so, we've created this bottoming structure. And so I usually talk about this a lot, where we come down here, we have a bottoming structure where we go sideways, and then eventually we come back and start to take off. And this is the level at which you want to long, because we are now out of this accumulation phase. And so we're literally doing that right here. And this is what I always talk about, is once we break out of this accumulation phase, which we're in right now, the place you want to long is that level retest afterwards back towards at least at least a lower high here, which is what I'm targeting, around 63 cents. So overall, Walrus looks very good to me on a kind of a swing chart. I don't know how long this is going to take. This is the daily chart. But overall, this looks good to me after we've done this level of accumulation here at the bottom, forming a solid level of support. We broke out and now we're retesting. I think this goes towards 63 cents in the near future. I don't know how long it's going to take, but overall, Walrus looks good to me. And then moving on, we have LA Chart saying we also bought 2.2 billion XRP in the last 2 weeks. And at the same time, the last time the MVRV ratio flashed a golden cross, XRP soared 630%. That signal just happened again, and XRP is already close to its all-time highs again. We also have a Ripplexity saying a thread on how the 3 major US crypto bills could reshape the future of Ripple and XRP. Let's break down the Genius, Clarity, and Anti-CBDC Acts. So as for the Genius Act, it requires a full 101 asset backing, regular audits, and federal and or state licensing. If passed, this will legitimize stablecoins like RLUSD, USDC, USDT, and pave a way for tokenized dollars to enter banking, payroll, and remittances. Why this matters for XRP, the Genius Act is a game changer for Ripple. It gives legal clarity for stablecoins like RLUSD, sets the stage for compliant RWA tokenization, and opens the door for XRP to bridge regulated stablecoins globally. This bill doesn't just protect Ripple, it legitimizes its entire strategy. Then as for the Clarity Act, this one is big and arguably the most important legislation Ripple has ever faced. It defines what makes a crypto asset a security versus a commodity, and outlines clear roles for the SEC versus CFTC versus Treasury jurisdictions. And this is what Ripple fought their whole case against, if it was a security or commodity. So this Clarity Act is very big for Ripple, even though they've already won their case. It's more of a testament to show that they were right. So how does the Clarity Act matter for XRP? The Clarity Act gives Ripple what it's been fighting for: clear distinction between digital assets as securities versus commodities, protects XRP in secondary markets, and limits the SEC overreach with defined CFTC and SEC roles. This is the regulatory green light Ripple needs to scale XRP adoption in the US. And then lastly is the Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act. This bill aims to block the Federal Reserve from issuing a direct retail CBDC, citing privacy and civil liberties concerns. This bill preserves space for private blockchain protocols to provide payment and settlement infrastructure. So how does the Anti-CBDC Act matter for Ripple? A Fed-issued retail CBDC could have sideline assets like XRP. It keeps the door open for private solutions like XRP for global payments, protects Ripple's role in building CBDCs with other countries and not competing against one. So very bullish things for Ripple XRP. And XRP, oh my goodness, it is at its all-time highs here. And I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Back when we were around here, I said once we break back above this, this level, which is, the range we've been in for multiple months. Once we break back above here, I think we go towards new all-time highs fairly quickly. And we've done just that because there is not a lot of resistance in this area. So it has taken us what is, 6 days to go from $2.60 all the way back to new all-time highs at around $3.30. We are at this slight level of resistance at its previous all-time high. But I do think either today or in the next day, we probably break through this. And because this is super bullish for XRP, it's even stronger than ETH and Bitcoin as well. So I think, XRP is probably going to new all-time highs. How high? I'm not entirely sure just yet. But I do think we see the $4 level probably pretty soon if this continues up and if all these, these crypto legislations continue and to get passed. I think XRP is going to be one of the biggest beneficiaries of all of this. And every time Ripple runs, it tends to run really fast. You can see here, we have this huge run up from around, the longest time we sat around 50 cents. We had a huge run up to around $2.87, consolidated a little bit and went a bit higher. Now, if we do a similar kind of thing, I don't know, I don't think it's going to be just as big as this run up, but if we do a kind of similar comparison, we are looking at something like this. And this is like pretty much what I did for Bitcoin as well. This doesn't always happen, but it kind of gives you an idea what you could expect if we do a similar kind of run. And so Ripple, I wouldn't be too surprised if we did something like this actually. If we came up here, we went towards $4.30, maybe retest the top of this range. Usually we tend to retest the top of previous all-time highs, so I wouldn't be surprised if we break out, we come back, we break out, we come back, retest this range, and then continue higher, just like this kind of shows. And then heading towards $5 eventually at some, in the coming months. I would not be surprised if we see that for Ripple. So very bullish things for Ripple. It actually kind of looks very similar here, just like our Bitcoin projection does as well. So then lastly for today, we have Roxum looks to capture Bitcoin treasury boom with Bitcoin denominated stock exchange. So the Bitcoin project Roxum is preparing to launch a Bitcoin denominated stock exchange. Roxum will debut its new stock exchange in September, with a waitlist now open for early access, according to the email. The San Francisco-based project said the exchange will reflect the Bitcoin white paper's original vision of a global permissionless store of value. The Bitcoin Treasury Exchange will have Bitcoin-denominated buying and selling of shares in companies with significant Bitcoin holdings, such as MicroStrategy and Metaplanet. Following the lead of these two companies, there's been a glut of publicly listed firms building Bitcoin treasuries in recent months. Just last week, 3 such companies raised a combined $278 million towards the goal of boosting their Bitcoin holdings. Roxum's aim is to provide exposure to Bitcoin using Bitcoin treasury companies as a proxy without the need to convert Bitcoin or navigate brokerages. The project raised $17.9 million in funding from Draper Associates, Borderless Capital, Ego Death, and Kingsway Capital earlier this year. So very bullish time for crypto. And that is the video for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you tomorrow.